Man, oh man, can I get a minute in the day? For God's sake. I'm halfway through a sandwich here, guys, which is breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in one. Look at this chat room, all filling up. We got Udi keen on the button. What are we doing here tonight, guys? Well, a couple of days ago, we were all set to switch gears and go on to Gran Amato. The genius who killed his parents and brother for an online obsession. Not video games, although they do enter into the story, but with a Bulgarian cam model named Sylvie. This idiot down in Florida, actually believed that he was, well, in a mutual relationship with an online stripper that you have to pay to talk to, and you can pay to perform sex acts that you can watch. He thought he was in a real relationship with this woman, which is a disturbing enough fact in itself. But then our internet wouldn't work, the computer wouldn't work, it wouldn't charge. So it was like, okay, tonight is not the night to do Grant Armada. And I was kind of it was a last minute decision because I wanted to do an introduction video with a PowerPoint presentation and some clips, but all of that's just never going to happen. I'm never going to have the time until August, when we'll have lots of time. But today, we're remaining on the Chandler Halderson case, and we're going to have a look at the testimony of his online friend who met him in the game. I believe it was Escape from Tarkov, the game that they would play together, because Chandler, with his fake job, he'd have to be up really early in the morning to pretend to work, He'd say to his dad, "Oh, yeah, gotta get up early tomorrow. The boss is really on my tail. Look at all these emails. See, there's proof." So he's actually going to have to get up. I'm sure most gamers are nocturnal, aren't they? I mean, if you're an obsessed gamer, don't you play like until 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning until the sun's up and then sleep? I mean, but Chandler couldn't do that. Or maybe he did that too. He looks like he never sleeps, except in the dim blue glow of a computer game pause screen, where there's that background music and you wake up and the friggin' background music is still on. You see, I have played video games, guys, just not to that level. You wake up and there's this like dramatic military drum, in the background. It's like really annoying and it's loud and you've forgotten it's on, and then you wake up and it's like, turn that off, because you don't really wake up for the first 30 repetitions that you hear it. And then it slowly drives you mad. Anyway, Andrew Smith was stationed in Germany. What time is it in Germany? Well, it's different than Wisconsin, obviously. So at 7 or 8 in the morning, Chandler would go online to find someone to play with. And of course, all the Wisconsin people are still asleep or at work. So he's playing with this guy from Germany. And the testimony of Andrew Smith is so profound. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like visual poetry. I think there's a lot of lessons that we can all glean from this guy, okay? Now, as Assistant State Prosecutor William Brown said to the jury, "When you meet Mr. Smith, I think most of you will agree with me that he's not really a paper person." And I was thinking a lot about what that means if we really break that down. And what I think it means, I mean, Attorney Brown might as well have said to the jury, "Listen, jury, We've got a witness coming in. His name is Mr. Smith. And if I told you all that Mr. Smith cannot read, you would believe me. After you hear him talk, after you see him on the stand, you would absolutely believe me that he couldn't read. You would put those two things together and they'd work, you know? He's basically calling him an idiot. I disagree with Attorney Brown. And I think we are about to witness the work, the stoic work of a highly trained military professional. I have never seen anyone so calm in this much of a so unaffected, so you know, bulletproof on the stand. Nothing waves this guy. You know, I don't know if it's his military training or if he's just, you know, so used to being in pressure situations that let's bring up a picture of him. It really is visual poetry to watch this. So what are we saying, Soap? What is the line? Oh yeah, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Without further ado, roll tape, please. So much better when we're ready with the frickin' video. Blame the sound controlist. Hey, stop snoring. We need to get you an isolation chamber. Love this judge. Judge Highland, right? You know who he reminds me of? You know when you're on a plane and your favorite air steward is the gay one that's older, like not a young gay air steward, but an older gay air steward. He's probably the oldest one on the plane, and you just know that anything you ask of that guy, he's going to give you a super efficient answer and the best service, because that's his whole thing, right? This judge reminds me of that old gay air steward.
Everybody, please have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll inquire if over the break anyone was exposed to conversations, engaged in conversations, or otherwise researched or learned or sought any information about the case. I see no hands. Thanks very much. We're going to continue with the state's case. If you would call your witness, please.
The state calls Andrew Smith.
Mr. Smith, do you believe you could testify safely and responsibly without wearing a mask? That would be our preference if you can.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and remove your mask then. And next I'll ask you to please stand so that the oath can be administered.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Did you
And then
see
you can pull the microphone.
how he stood to attention there? Let's just go back. At ease, soldier. This is what I'm saying. I mean, even the jacket, is that military issue?
So that the oath can be administered.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly
Oh, he got
swear
it wrong.
affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the
I
whole
guess
truth,
that
and
was
nothing
his salute hand, right? What hand do you salute with? No, you salute with your right hand, don't you? In the military? Or could it be either one?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And then you can pull the microphone back up nice and close. Perfect.
I mean, doesn't he look like a character from Saving Private Ryan? He looks just like Private Ryan.
Good afternoon, sir. Could you please state your name and then spell it out so everyone who's taking notes just knows how it's spelled?
Andrew Smith,
And how do you spell it?
Alpha, November, Delta, Romeo, Echo, Whiskey.
Okay. Alpha, November, Delta, Romeo, Echo, Whiskey. We've definitely got a military man here. You can just spell it, man.
Okay, and your last name, Smith, common spelling?
Sierra, Mike, India, Tango, Hotel.
Sierra Mike India Tango Hotel. Attorney Brown didn't even ask him to spell that. He said, and the last name Smith, common spelling? You can just say yes. Common spelling, Smith with an I. Sierra Mike India Tango Hotel.
And how old are you, sir?
22, sir.
And what area of the country do you live in?
Kansas, sir.
Do you know someone by the name of Chandler Halderson?
Yes, sir.
How did you meet Chandler Halderson?
Playing video games while stationed in Germany, sir.
And
My dog is real special, you know. 2 hours we've been sitting here. Well, maybe not that long. And she eats now, right at the beginning of the broadcast. What is your major malfunction, Soap?
you see Mr. Halderson in the courtroom here today?
Yes, Germany, sir.
Chandler, area of the country.
Yeah, Tango Hotel.
And how old are you, sir?
22, sir.
And what area of the country do you live in?
Kansas, sir.
Do you know someone by the name of Chandler Halderson?
Yes, sir.
How did you meet Chandler Halderson?
Playing video games while stationed in Germany, sir.
And I like how he's saying sir after everything. You know, that is the Congressional Medal of Honor material right there, right? The highest honor. He's going for it and deserves it 100%, sir.
And do you see Mr. Halderson in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Before
What's going to
you
happen
ask-
here is the judge is going to give some instructions, and then I'm going to ask you where he is. So wait
I
1
will-
second.
I would ask everyone who's not in the jury box to lower their masks for just a short moment so that all faces are observed by the witness. You can replace your masks. Thank you.
Did you see Mr. Halderson here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me where he's sitting and kind of what he's wearing?
Over on the right, sir, in a suit, sir.
And that's the. And,
Is he at a table?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
oh, that's the
Record
record
will-
reflect identification.
It will reflect that identification.
Sure.
I love the thing where you have to identify the witness and you say, you know, there was a good one from the when Jessica Rodriguez was asked to identify Catherine McBanower. And she said, she's over there with the black pinstripe and glasses. And Georgia Kappelman looks over at the table and says, we've got 2 of those because Tara Kawas is wearing the exact same thing. Oh, Jessica cracks me up, man. You hear that, Fancy Fiction? I like Jessica too. Now let's be friends, Fancy. Come on, you know you love this channel.
Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, that time period in which you met Mr. Halderson. You said you were stationed over in Germany.
Yes, sir.
Were you in the military?
Yes, sir.
What branch?
Army, sir.
Stationed in Germany. For what? What are they going to put this guy doing?
And where in Germany were you stationed?
Ansbach, sir.
And whereabout is that?
Middle of BFE, sir.
And how did you meet someone who lived here in Wisconsin while you were in Germany?
Playing video games on Arma 3 server, sir.
And what type of video games were you playing?
Mostly FPS, sir.
What type of game is that?
So a go around, complete objectives, and capture certain scenarios, sir.
Is it a
Go around, complete objectives, and capture certain scenarios. You see, that's lost on me. I mean, FPS is first-person shooter, right? I got that. The rest of it, what does that mean?
shooting game?
Yes, sir.
And some people on the jury maybe play video games, other people don't. If you had to explain to someone how you end up meeting someone playing a video game, could you describe how that happens?
So you'll connect to a server, and then you can type in voice channels or type in voice channels. You can type in text channels.
You'll connect to a server, sir. What is wrong?
Meet people. You can die by other players and interact through them.
Okay, you finished eating now, Sub? Go and check the levels. Back to the sound desk. Oh, by the way, guys, let us know in the chat how the audio levels are tonight.
Like that by just typing them, or if you guys get in a voice altercation at safe zones where some players can't necessarily hurt each other.
Okay. And so how about did you end up meeting Chandler? Was he just in one of these games and you talked to him?
Yes, sir.
Did you talk to him a lot?
Yes, sir.
Did you develop a friendship?
Yes, sir.
About what time was this? What year was this?
I want to say it was 2019 or 2018. It was shortly after my son was born, sir.
And
Now, I've seen Andrew Smith testify a number of times, and what he just said was, I think he was asked, when did you meet Chandler on the online game? And he said, I think it was 2018 or 2019. It was shortly after my son was born, sir. And I always thought that would indicate that he didn't know what year his son was born. Because he was too busy in that game. Maybe he had a son in the game. Yeah, my son was born in game in 2018 or 19. And I remember because I had to spend all day in the hospital in the game. I couldn't complete my objectives. I couldn't capture my scenarios. And
how often, if you just had to give us a general overview, how often would you play video games with Chandler online?
Almost every day, sir.
Okay. And would you be talking and communicating during that time period?
Yes, sir.
yeah, while I was stationed in Germany on military business for the US Army, I played video games with a psycho from Wisconsin every day. I mean, I think they give these guys too much time off. I always thought it was just like in Full Metal Jacket, where you were just on constant, what do you call it, assault courses and obstacle courses and training and running around singing those songs, left, right, left, right.
At some point, you start to learn a lot about Chandler, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any idea of, at the time, kind of what he was doing in life, school, work, anything like that?
As far as I knew, he was going to college in one of the towns somewhere in Wisconsin and doing all that.
Okay. At some point, you end up coming back to the United States.
Yes, sir.
Military service was over?
Something like that, sir.
Okay. At any point while you were in the military toward the end of your service, did you suffer an injury yourself?
Yes, sir. I was in Germany, and I was coming off the 50 cal range, and a German totaled our Humvee, and I got in a Humvee wreck. So I slammed my forehead on a hard side wall of the vehicle, unfortunately. So
You had a head injury?
essentially, sir.
Okay. Were you talking to Mr. Halderson around this time, in between that head injury and when you came back to the United
Yes, sir.
States? When you came back to the United States, what state did you move to or live in?
Kansas, sir.
Is that your home?
For now.
Okay. Had you ever spent
Yeah.
much time?
Until I can get out of the tornado belt. Does anyone live in Kansas by choice? Apart from Dorothy. That's funny. We were talking about the Wizard of Oz the other day, weren't we? We're not in Kansas anymore.
I'm in Wisconsin before?
No, sir.
After you moved back to Wisconsin or to the United States, did your frequency of playing video games with Mr. Halderson, did it increase, decrease, stay the same?
Increase, sir. I was in the same time zone.
Yeah, it definitely increased because before we were playing every day, and so it increased the level of how often we would play video games online together increased from all the time, every day. It increased to we call it infinity constant. We played video games infinity constant when I was in the same time zone.
Okay. And would you continue to play the same types of games?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there any specific weapons that Mr. Halderson liked when he's playing these games?
It really depended on what we were playing. On Tarkov, or Escape from Tarkov was what the game was called. It would range for realistically to whatever we could find inside the video game, because not everything was necessarily easily to collect, but the SKS was certainly a weapon that was fun to use in Tarkov and was something that I had grown interest in as well.
Okay. And Around this time, after you came back to the United States, did you learn anything more about where Mr. Halderson was in life? Had jobs changed, school changed, or was things the same for him?
Essentially, what I understood was he was still going to college, and he at some point had gone back to Windsor, or I think it's called Windsor, and had started working for some company installing solar panels or working on contracts for solar panels.
Yeah,
At any
with
point
Elon
in your
Musk, right? Yeah. So he did learn a lot about Chandler, didn't he? He learned that he was going to college, MATC, big time engineering degree, yeah. And you know, the big job with Elon.
discussions with Mr. Halderson, did he get another job, or was that the last job you knew?
As far as I know, that was it, sir.
At some point, you decided to come visit Chandler.
Yes, sir.
Whenabouts was that?
Sometime during, I think it was June, sir.
Of this past year?
Yes.
In generally, just how did that come about? Did he ask you to come up? Did you decide to come up?
So it was one of those last minute decisions I was able to make, sir. So my wife had ended up going to visit family in Ohio, and she was going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I went and looked at how many points I had. I was able to take off work, and I went and called off work that day so I could come up and have a weekend with driving up there and then spending 2 days with him, sir.
Had you ever been to Wisconsin before?
No, sir.
So let's get that straight. He's stationed in Germany on military business. He crashes a Humvee, smacks his forehead into the armored wall of the vehicle. It seems he was then discharged or quit, or I don't know, and returned to Kansas, working in Kansas, and had a son. And some holiday time came up for Mr. Smith, Private Smith, Major Smith, Corporal. So for his big holiday, he thought he'll drive. How far is it from Kansas to Wisconsin? Let's check it out together. Maps. That's what we need. Was it like 9-hour drive or something? It's like, hey, it's like driving from Tallahassee to Miami. Well, maybe it's more. Look, Kansas is all the way down there. Oh, you can't see. Share this tab. Kansas to... Oh, how do I do directions? Directions from Madison. Ah, friggin' keyboard. So it's going to take him 10.5 hours. Look at that. Up. The US is so funny. You just go up, left, diagonal, east, up a bit, east. Okay. So yeah, I'll drive 10 hours, spend two days with a friggin' loony, lying loser serial killer in the making, I'd say. I've never really believed that. Did he just want to swear on the stand? How do you accidentally say, no shit? Oh, it's a long drive from Kansas to Wisconsin. Let's see it again. I mean, is that the head injury? Did he not know? He thought he was still stationed in Germany, or what? I mean, how do you? And then his reaction, I don't know. I think someone just dared him to do it or something. I don't know. Why did he put department stores in quotes? What are you saying? That the department stores in Wisconsin suck? I mean, they got to be better than the ones in Kansas, haven't they? I mean, what? Come on, what has a department store in Kansas got? I mean, that's just like where you buy stuff for the carnival, isn't it? Don't all the carnival people come from Kansas? You know, it's just a never-ending supply of candy floss and toffee apples and those prizes that you win when you hook a duck. Hey, Matilda, looking good. Neaty, how you doing? Angela. Who's Angela? We might have a new fan, guys. Swimming in a river next to a city. Well, that's dirty water, right? I mean, you go to the country to swim in the river. Huh? There we go. Now we enter into the brilliant philosophical material of Andrew Smith, Private Andrew Smith. I'm just here, sir. I mean, what a fantastic answer to any question. You know, and if he is just here, where is he? I mean, it opens so many doors, that answer. I'm just here, sir. You don't know the name of the river, do you, in Wisconsin? I mean, I think it's called the Wisconsin River, isn't it? Or the Milwaukee River, maybe. I don't know, but I'm betting that it's easy to remember. Yeah, I departed at 1700 hours, and can you imagine like spending any sort of family occasion with this guy, and he's talking in military jargon the whole time? It's like, okay, it's time to cut the cake, and he's like, our official duty assignment was to cut the cake at 1700 hours. You know, what else could he say? You know, what's other military jargon? Let's guess what's coming. At ease, you know. Everyone stands up when they blow out the candles, and then after he's like, at ease. Now, I'm not saying that this guy should have any contrition, guilt, or, you know, anything like forgiving him the gun that he used to murder his mom and dad. I'm not saying he should have any, but it is clear that he doesn't. And I think most people, even if after intellectualizing it and saying, well, there's no way I could have known that he would have done that, so it's ridiculous for me to feel guilty. And I would agree with that. I think most people would feel something like, shit. Although there was no way I've known, if I hadn't have given it to him, he wouldn't have had it to kill them. And you could say, well, he'd have got a gun from somewhere else. He might have strangled them or whatever. As if Chandler could overpower Bart, big man Bart. I'll need a set for pipe repair. You know, Bart's got the whole set of pipes to defend himself with. What's Chandler got? Nothing. And, you know, again, I'm not an American. I don't have a gun. I don't have a concealed carry permit. You know, it's just not really something we do in Europe. But I would say if you're going to give someone a gun, you know, make sure you know who you're giving it to. You know, if you're going to give someone a high-powered military-grade assault rifle, check them out. You know, meet them more than once. That was their first time meeting in real life. You know, other than that, they just met in the game. So, I don't know. I just don't think it's a great idea to just, you know, give people weapons as a present. I mean, apart from it being freaking expensive, what a gift. $1,200, $1,500. What is that about? You know, okay, if it's a family member or someone you really know and they want a gun, but you know, do you really need to give that Chandler Halderson a high-powered assault rifle? Was that how it works? There's a federal license holder, and that's the person. What, like just a third party? That seems like someone that would be pretty easy to bribe. I thought you had to, like, the store had to do the checks, and if they messed it up, then their whole, livelihood, and they'd lose the store if they had that to lose on the line. But if you that sounds like someone who works at Google that like checks people's grammar. Like, yeah, you send me the form, I check the form is in correctly, and then we approve you. Is that how it works? Oh shit. You can't hear the video, and that was like 10 minutes ago? Fuck. All right. Shit. Oh, man. I got to keep up with this chat. Okay. Udi, I'm making you a moderator right now. Okay. How do I do that? So much, guys. We needed like an alarm system or something. Don't worry, guys. We're going to go back. We're going to listen to everything Mr. Smith has to tell us because it is pure gold. The wisdom that comes out of this guy. All right, Udi, you are officially a manager. Manager. Get managing. We're going to have to go back 20 minutes. Fucking hell. So sorry, guys. What a shame. What a shame. I know I can hear myself. Oh, man, these production values. You know what we need, guys? 2 monitors. 2 monitors. So, ways that you can support the channel. You can buy us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. You can like the video, share the video. What else? Patreon. Early access to videos. I mean, I don't know how all our videos are live. So you all get them as early as possible. You get them before they're even made. You're watching them be made. So I don't know how we're going to work around that. But it is a way to support the channel, and I think you should all support the channel because then we can get 2 monitors. All right, let me think for a second. What the hell am I doing? I need to go to StreamYard, present, share screen. This one.
If anything like this. And she was going to be gone for 2 weeks. So I went and looked at how many points I had. I was able to take off work, and I went and called off work that day so I could come up and have.
Okay, I'm hoping that you have the audio, guys, and that you can hear Mr. Smith and all his wisdom.
A weekend with driving up there and then spending 2 days with him, sir.
Had you ever been to Wisconsin before?
No, sir.
Okay. It's a long drive up here.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's okay. So everyone slips up. I'm showing you what's been marked in this case as exhibit number 392. Is that you and Chandler up here?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I'll just move 392 into evidence. I'll just show it to the jury if that's
Thanks,
okay, Judge.
Matilda.
Any objection?
No
to it?
objection.
It's received. You may publish.
Where'd you stay when you were up here?
Oh, thanks so much for the super chat, Udi. Very, very much appreciated. Super chat, guys. Super thanks. Super thanks to Udi.
Mr. Halderson.
In their family home in the basement, sir.
Did you meet his parents?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you were up here, what kind of things did you do for fun? Where'd you go?
So we went swimming at some river at some point, and then we went and drove around to the different department stores, and we're looking at weapons and all that. So we went to Cabela's. We went to, I want to say it was Bass Pro, but that doesn't sound right. I know we went to Gander Mountain, and then we went to like one or two other places, but I can't remember what they were.
Okay. Showing you a photograph labeled exhibit number 563.
Jesus.
Did you take that picture?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
The river, sir.
That you went swimming?
Yes, sir.
And who took you there?
Chandler and his girlfriend at the time.
All right. I'll move 563 in evidence.
No objection.
It is received.
And I asked the publisher on the Elmo. Actually, it's not set up right now. I'm just going to show everybody.
Oh,
Was that a river or a lake you were swimming at?
River, sir.
And was there a city across the street or across the river from there?
Yes, sir. And there was a bridge on the right.
Having never been to Wisconsin before, you don't know exactly what river that was or where you were?
I'm just here, sir.
Okay.
Beautiful line again. I guess you all missed that the last time it was on because it was freaking muted. But I'm just here, sir. And the beautiful thing about that statement is it doesn't matter where you are at the time. You can use that statement anywhere. I'm just here, sir. Try it tomorrow, guys. Wherever you are at 10 a.m., say to somebody, I'm just here, sir.
How long did you stay up here with Chandler and the family when you came to visit?
So I got up there on Saturday morning, right around 5 a.m., I think. And then I stayed there until Sunday evening around 1700, and then went and departed and was able to arrive back home on Monday around 2 or 4 in the morning, somewhere between, sir.
Okay. When you visited Wisconsin to see Chandler, you brought him a gift.
Yes, sir.
What did you bring him?
I brought him a 20-inch barrel SKS.
How did you acquire this gun?
So I had purchased it on a gun broker, and I went and had it sent to my FL, and then I went and sat in the FL until I went and did the FL transfer. So I purchased it initially because I really thought, like, oh, well, I like it in the video game. I might like it in real life. And then I fired it. It sat in my safe, and then I never touched it again. And then it just dawned on me, like, well, I'm going to give it to someone who might actually appreciate this weapon and take care of it and all that. So I ended up giving it to Chandler as a gift.
Okay. So while you like guns, you didn't particularly love this gun.
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 391. You know what that document is?
Yes, sir. It's a FL transfer paperwork, sir.
And you've been saying the phrase FFL, correct?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That's a federal firearms license holder.
Meaning someone who's licensed to sell firearms and fills out
Yes,
paperwork.
and does the correct background checks and such.
Got it. I'll move 391 into evidence.
No objection.
It is received.
This document has your signature on it and the person who sold it, their signature, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it has the serial number of the weapon that you purchased.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Now, when you gave the gun to Chandler, did he pay you for it?
No, sir.
It was a gift.
Yes, sir.
Did you document in any way transferring that gun to him?
Yes, sir.
How did you choose? Did you fill out paperwork like this?
I took his photo ID that the state issued him, and I took it right next to the serial number, annotating that this was me giving this weapon to this individual. So that way, if anything like this would occur, that it.
So he's giving him the high-powered military-grade assault rifle, and he's taking a photograph of Chandler's driver's license next to the serial number of the weapon. And the reason he's doing that is in case anything like this ever happened. Well, if that's a possibility in your mind, maybe don't give him the gun. Maybe let him use the gun in your presence and then sell the gun. I mean, you could take it to any gun store and get what? A third of the value? A half of the value? That's hundreds of dollars, guy. What are you doing? Don't give it to Chandler. I mean, even if you look at the picture of Chandler on his driver's license, you can tell he shouldn't have a gun. No. Don't give that guy a gun.
It wouldn't necessarily come back to me.
Okay. It was important to you to document that.
Most times it is, yes.
Okay. So I'm showing you what's been marked as exhibit number 393, 394, and then maybe a more zoomed in version, which is 564. Do those all appear to be just general versions of what you did there?
Yes, sir.
And so these are Chandler's driver's license and the serial number of that weapon.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll move 393, 394, and 564 into evidence.
No objection.
They are
No objection. You know, Chandler's lawyers all through the trial, it's like, no objection. No objection. And what is this sort of voice that she's putting on, like while she's doing it? This sort of like, you know, Disney Bluebird voice, like, no objection. Is it like no objection because we know that the state has no case? And we're waiting till closing argument to really stick it to them? I watched Attorney Brown's rebuttal last night, guys. It is brutal. It is scathing. I mean, he really comes off as like he's rousing the troop, like rousing the villagers with like pitchforks to go and get, you know, to go and lynch him. I mean, I think the jury might have wanted to do that, you know.
received.
And I'll publish them to the jury just by showing it, if that's
Oh,
fine.
you see what's that blue thing on the screen, guys? That's a super chat, yeah, from our new moderator, Udi, who says, hit the like and make sure you to subscribe to, sir. Subscribe to the channel, sir. At 1800 hours, sir. Hit like, sir.
Fine with everyone? Oh. So I'm showing first this one. This is Chandler's ID, and then you put it up next to that serial number.
Yes, sir.
Another version zoomed in, same thing.
Yes, sir.
And then the actual serial number zoomed in a little bit.
Hey, Neverly darling, why is it called an ELMO? It's electronic light monitoring observer. It used to be called OHP, the overhead projector, but now it's ELMO. It's got to be electronic light monitor overhead. I don't know. Let's look it up together, guys. Elmo Visual Presenter is a document camera that, when paired with a projector, allows its user to display, project images, documents, and drawings onto a surface. It can be used for enlarging and tracing the projected image. Well, what does it mean? Oh, don't you hate it when Google like really makes you work? It's like, just tell us the acronym, guy. Try a new search term. Enough, let's move on. Okay, I think that's a sign from the universe saying we don't really care, Neverly darling. Sorry, Neverly darling.
Get close. closer.
Yes, sir.
Can you read the serial number for us of this gun from the zoomed in picture?
Yes, sir.
Slowly.
1017945 Papa.
Okay. So 1017945 Pete Paul.
Papa. Okay, this guy needs to go back to military training. Papa. It's Papa. Did I hear that right? What the fuck?
Slowly.
Even the way he reads the numbers, he's like 1, 2, 7, 8, 15, 6.
1017945 Papa.
Papa. Papa. He's got everything so military right. The haircut, the jacket, the phonetic alphabet, the military time 1800 hours, and then Papa. Come on, guy. Back to West Point. Someone take this guy to West Point. We need to get him a full scholarship, guys. Hey, Matilda, so thanks so much. Aren't you a sweetie pie for the super chat? Thank you, Matilda. You are so kind.
So
I just love the way he was reading out those numbers, because it needs to be clear when you're on the walkie-talkie in a military situation. If you say the wrong number or someone hears it wrong, so he's just like 1079654. It's too bad there wasn't a 9 in there, because you're supposed to read 9 or say 9 like niner. Air traffic control, they say niner, not 5, not 9, because 9 sounds like 5. Or it could be. What is the deal with that air traffic control? The when you hear like sometimes you see it on YouTube where there's like the control tower is talking to someone who's flying a plane, and okay, the radio signal getting to a plane that's moving and everything like that, but it's such poor quality. Do you not think that they should invest in like really crystal clear, good quality audio? I mean, surely that must be able to be done, right? You can have Netflix on the plane, crystal clear. I'm sure you can friggin' get a microphone to work from the main tower of the airport, Anyway, too bad there wasn't a 9 in there. I'd love to see this guy say Niner Papa. It's Papa. Am I wrong, guys? Is that an American thing? Papa? In the phonetic alphabet? I mean, maybe in certain states people say Papa. Where would they say that? South Carolina? I don't know. Hey, Papa. Ma and Papa.
1017945 Pete Paul. Okay. Had Chandler asked you for this gun, or was this just your idea?
I think he had at one point asked for it as a joke, but mostly it was my idea, sir.
Okay. You brought him other things that go with the gun?
Yes, sir.
What type of things?
So I had brought him a steel canister that had contained roughly 480 rounds of 7.62 by 39 steel case tool ammo.
And is that the ammunition that goes with that weapon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And showing you what's been marked, exhibit 395, 396, 397. Do those appear to be that canister of ammunition?
Yes, sir.
And are you fairly confident that's the one you brought?
Well, I mean, I'm the only weirdo that stencils his ammo can, so yes.
You put those stencils on there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
I'm the only weirdo that stencils his ammo cans. Well, number one, I'm willing to bet that that's not true. Doesn't that look so friggin' military when you have your ammo can stenciled? You just know that this guy is wearing dog tags right now in court, don't you?
I'd move 397, 395, and 396 into evidence.
No objection.
They are received.
And I'll move to publish to 396.
Yes, of course.
And so Showing the jury this picture, when you say you stenciled this ammo can, what do you mean by that?
So I've got plenty of different kinds of rounds in my home. So I'll go and have different cans for them. And I take a spray can, I'll buy the stencil so I can make sure I know what I'm grabbing if I need something before I go to the range. So I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to figure out what can goes to what.
So this,
So that I'm not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. I mean, I think the common way to say that is running around like a headless chicken. Why does he have to say with its head cut off? It's like, buddy, there is enough dismemberment in this story. What are you doing? Building a theme? I'm not running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Running around like a headless chicken is fine. It's so acceptable socially that it just blends into the rest of the sentence. What this guy has done is just create this massive spotlight on butchery.
yellow paint that says 762 by 39, that's you that stenciled that on there.
Yes, sir.
And briefly, just showing you exhibit number 398, 399, 400, 401. Do all of those appear to be the ammunition that was inside of that can?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll move 398 through 401,
No objection.
They are received.
and I'd move to publish. I'll publish just for purposes of just showing the jury something, 398 and 400.
Very good.
And these are just those ammunition.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there was a lot of ammunition.
A bit.
Yeah, not compared to what this guy has in his house. Everything is decorated in bullets, and his toddler children. they're just playing. They don't have matchbox cars. They just have empty shell casings. And they just play with it. They put them up like bowling pins and flick little ping pong balls at the shell casings, and whoever gets the strike wins. Oh, look at me with my Portuguese friggin' content ads.
How did Chandler react when you gave him the gun?
Oh, he was happy
What do you mean? But how do you know he was happy, or how do you know that?
because he had a big smile on his face when I had given it to him as a gift.
Were you aware whether his parents that he was living with were gun people or wanted guns in their home?
As far as I knew that, or what I was explained by Chandler, was that his parents understood the reason why firearms exist in this world, and not that they necessarily support.
Yeah, his parents understood why firearms existed in this world, but just didn't agree with them being used upon them by their son. That was how they felt about the whole self-harming argument.
having them, but they're helpful in situations.
Sure. To your knowledge,
They are helpful in situations, aren't they? Sometimes it's good to have a firearm, like, for instance, when you've been lying to your whole family about your fake life and your job with Elon Musk and having lunch with Elon on the moon, and your dad contacts the school and finds out that you haven't graduated, you don't have a job with American Family Insurance, and your entire reality has been fabricated for 2 years at least, and some, and everyone's going to distance themselves from you. It's good to have a firearm so you can clean up your mess and invent another story, and hopefully, if no one finds out, inherit the entire house and get some life insurance, and then you can have a fantastic story to garner sympathy from everyone you know about your missing parents that just disappeared and never came back, and now you live in the big house alone with your 2 little dogs. Cat comes over and cooks you Mexican food, and you get to play Escape from Tarkov all freaking day. what was the level called? Infinity Constant. Infinity Constant, Escape from Tarkov, Mexican food, cooked for me in the kitchen, dogs, new girl, this is Sunday.
Did Chandler have any guns?
As far as I knew, he told me that he had owned a AR-15 with a barrel extension that had to be welded on or something like that. It was kind of looked like an M16 almost.
Did you ever see that gun?
He had shown me a picture of it on on the app called Discord, but I don't have any documentation of that.
When you were here in Wisconsin, did you ever see any guns in the Halderson house?
I think I asked about it, but I think he said that they had it at the wherever their cabin was.
What did Chandler do with the gun? Were you able to figure out where he put it in the house?
Yeah, he had initially, so if you would walk down the flight of stairs in the basement, you would look left, there was like a little wood pile, and he had stuck it in the middle section there because I understood that they might not be happy about having this firearm. So, but he had told me he was going to be moving soon to do a career in SpaceX in Florida. So he was just going to take it with him and move out there with it.
Were there any magazines that came with the gun?
Yes, sir.
How many?
3.
And those all went with that gun?
Yes, sir.
Were they loaded when you gave them to him?
Not initially, sir.
How did they become loaded?
I think we were bullshitting with the magazine, sir, and both of us, and were like, he was asking me how to load it. So I was like, oh, and I was showing him how to pack the magazine.
Aside from, and I think we've got it, but aside from the gun, the 3 magazines, the ammo can, and then the 400 some rounds of ammunition, was there anything else related to the gun that you gave to Chandler?
The optic that came on the weapon.
The sight, for most people. If people aren't gun people, what's an optic?
It's the same thing, essentially.
If I showed you that gun, would you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're not going to touch it. The detectives, in fact, are going to touch it, but it's already been received into evidence.
Roger.
In this case.
I'll take things a drill sergeant would say for 500, Alex. He just said Roger. I love it.
You need the elbow. You need the elbow. Yeah.
So this is Detective Shunk, who I think you've met in this case. Does that appear to be the weapon that you gave to Chandler?
Can you flip it over? Yes, sir.
And
There's Brian
looking at the
Chunk.
zoomed in picture of the serial number from the driver's license photo, you
Looking
can stand up if you
chunky
need
there,
to. Would you
Brian.
confirm to me if that's the serial number, in fact, on that weapon?
Yes, sir.
And I think just because you weren't speaking into the microphone, because I asked you to stand up, that last response was yes, that is the serial number.
Yes, sir.
The magazines themselves, would you recognize those if you saw them?
Yes, sir.
How so?
Well, I don't remember. My brain doesn't always work correctly sometimes, but I can remember most things for firearms.
My brain doesn't always work correctly sometimes. Okay. Ever since the accident in the Humvee when I was stationed in Germany and smacked my forehead into the armored wall.
So I know 2 of them should be made by ProMag, and then one has a metal bottom with some black screwed up something on it.
When you gave Chandler the 3 magazines, and obviously there's 1 gun, but there's 3 magazines, there's a good deal of ammunition, several hundred rounds. Were
400,
you
480.
480. Were you giving him everything you had related to that gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have any reason to keep any of the other things?
No, sir.
Okay. Just 1 second. We're going to show you some other stuff.
Gotcha.
And this might take a second. And again, you'll notice the detective's wearing gloves, so he'll show you anything and he'll turn things around if you ask him, but he'll have to ask you not to touch anything.
Roger.
Roger.
Just so the jury knows, because of the break that we had in suspending the trial, I asked the detectives to reseal all of the evidence boxes since we weren't going to be able to access them for a number of days. And that's the process that's happening at this time.
Okay, Neverly Darling says she might have missed it. Why exactly did Rambo give this gun to Chandler? Just because? Did he sell it to him or give it to him? Well, Neverly, the SKS rifle was Chandler's favorite favorite gun to use in the game Escape from Tarkov that they would play together as a team. And Smith is a total gun nut. You know, every day he's at the gun shop or the range or buying ammo or spray painting his ammo cans or decorating his house in bullets. But yeah, so he also liked the SKS rifle to use in the game, so he bought it for himself. But he actually didn't like to use it in life. He only liked to use it in the game. He just didn't think it was that good. So he thought he'll give it to Chandler, who liked the gun in the game. And it was just a gift. A $1,200 gun, 480 rounds of ammunition, high-powered ammunition, and all of the accessories, supposedly a case and I don't know, maybe a scope or anything that came with the gun. He just gave it all to Chandler as a gift, even though that was their first time meeting in life, which I just find either very generous or kind of weird. I mean, that's, you know, if he took that whole kit to a gun shop, he might come away with like $1,000. And not only that, he took a 10-hour, 700-mile drive each way to bring it to him.
And so, can you flip that box over for me? Showing you what's been marked as 288. Does that appear to be a magazine consistent with what you gave Mr. Halderson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what defining characteristics are on that magazine that lead you to believe that is in fact one you gave him?
The big ugly splash on the bottom of the magazine, sir.
All right, and I'll have the detective display that to the jury.
I love how
This
Brian...
AI tool will take your idea and create a complete book, complete with design, images.
I love how Brian Chunk just walks past the jury looking at them with the magazine. Like, here it is. It's a bit like a magician's assistant, isn't it? You know, look, check the box. Check, it's a normal box. Just an average, normal household box.
All right, and I'll have the detective display that to the jury.
That is just like a magician's assistant. I think it's the gloves. I think, you know, because a magician's assistant always has those white gloves, you know.
All right, and so we're going to do the same process with the next two. And the next exhibit we're going to deal with is 289.
Neaty is just baffled at the gift of the gun, I think. Who does that, she says. Did he think maybe a relationship was blossoming or something? Well, I've often wondered about people like, what were those two brothers in Oklahoma? I think it was the Broken Arrow killings. The two brothers just shot and chopped up their whole family, quite a large family, killed all of them apart from one of their sisters. And one of the guys, I was thinking, you saw him a little while later in court and he'd gone full on prison bitch, and kind of made himself look feminine, long hair in a girl style. And, I guess we know how he's getting by. But yeah, I think sometimes closet homosexuals might, commit such atrocities so that they can go to jail and receive male attention with the excuse of it being forced upon them or something. Does anyone else ever had that thought? And I've wondered it about Chandler, to be honest. Not sure. I think he just really, thought he was a super liar and wasn't. Oh, black gloves now for Brian. Yes, the ace of spades. This is just a regular deck of cards. Yeah, I'll open the box. I'll seal your watch inside this envelope and hit it with a hammer. Man, Brian Chunk should approach friggin' Penn and Teller. If he was holding 7 big silver rings right now that all linked together and then somehow mystically pulled them apart without breaking them, the jury would clap their hands.
Again, same process.
And your
We're showing you
watch is
289.
intact.
You can ask that be moved any way you'd like. Does that appear to be consistent with the magazine that you gave Chandler Halderson?
Yes, sir.
And would that fit to the SKS rifle that you just looked at?
Yes, sir.
We'll go to the next one. And while the detective's pulling out the next one, the last one, which I can touch the outside, is Exhibit 288. You yourself have fired this gun in the past.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware exactly how much ammunition you gave to Chandler?
Yes, sir.
How much?
The box ammo that I had purchased had 500 rounds in it, sir. I've shot roughly 20, didn't enjoy the firearm, and gave him 480 rounds.
And when you say 480, is that an estimate or do you know that to be exact?
That should be precise.
While you were here in Wisconsin with Chandler, did you all fire the weapon?
No, sir.
Remember, guys, like, share, leave a comment. Head us up on buymeacoffee.com, Patreon, Discord. Super chats are most welcome. And we are looking to expand on our production values. We're thinking lighting, we're thinking video, we're thinking FaceTime, we're thinking 2 monitors. It's all gonna, it just makes the content better, guys. We're not going to be buying a Ferrari with Maestro license plates. Not yet, anyway, so. Yeah, but the best way to help the channel is to like that video. So hit like, hit subscribe, tell someone about the channel, tell a friend, tell everybody, tell everybody. Okay, I didn't realize this had turned into the Brian Chunk opens a box show. I don't know how much more that I can take. Oh, Neverly, you are a darling. Literally and figuratively. Thank you so much for the super chat, Neverly. You are so sweet. One of our #1 fans now. Big contributor in the comments, guys.
Showing you that exhibit. You can ask for it to be moved any way you'd like.
Yes, sir.
Is that consistent with the magazine you gave Chandler?
Yes, sir.
Did you discuss with Chandler when you gave him the weapon in June of this past year, anything more about what he was going to do with it other than I think you said he was going to move to Florida with his new job? Anything else? Did you discuss? Was he going to go hunting? Anything like that?
I don't believe so, sir.
You said you visited him over the course of a couple of days. Did you give it to him right away or later on in the weekend?
I think it was either Sunday that I gave it to him or it was someday on Saturday that I gave it to him.
After you gave it to him and he placed it, I think you said under boards?
It was so it was almost like a bench like this, but there's a hollow center that had stuff stacked inside of it, and he just kind of shoved it in there since there was stuff blocking the front path of it from view.
Do you know where, did the gun ever come out after he put it in there? Did you ever see it again?
We could have, sir. I think we could have played around with it, just showing how it works. And like, keep in mind, I had this weapon for a couple months, just had it sit in my safe. So I've had plenty of time to figure out a little bit of the ins and outs of it. So.
Okay. Do you know where Chandler placed the?
I think this guy's gun safe is so big that his house is in the gun safe. You know, the gun safe is bigger than the house. So in between the guns, he has a house.
Magazines or the ammo box?
I don't recall, sir.
Okay. Did Chandler tell you anything more about his job at SpaceX?
Not really, sir. Just that he had an opportunity that he was looking forward to.
You left at some points and you continued talking to Chandler, playing video games after you went back home?
Yes, sir.
At some point, did Chandler suffer some sort of injury?
Yes, sir.
What
As
do you know
far
about
as
that?
I know, he went down the stairs and had fell somehow and screwed up his head or his neck.
And did that injury, according to Chandler, did that end up impacting his job or anything like that?
As far as I knew, so it seemed that because of the injury, he wasn't going to be able to take a flight out to Florida to do this SpaceX thing. But other than that, he didn't really explain what was wrong, just that he wasn't going to be able to fly out there and he wasn't able to look at computer screens or anything like that with so much blur on the screen or motion blur.
Did you find out at some point that Chandler's parents were missing?
Yes, sir.
How did you find out?
It was shortly after the 4th of July when I had came back from Texas from visiting my other buddy. He had gave me a sort of not hysterical per se, but a pretty upsetting call that his parents hadn't got back to him or he hadn't seen them.
Sure. And then the cadence of things was this was after the head injury?
Yes, sir.
Did Chandler tell you anything about the head injury in terms of specifics about what was going to happen or how
He
severe
told
it
me
was?
that he would have to wear a neck brace and that they were supposed to drill a hole in his head or something like that to alleviate some sort of pressure.
Okay. Did you talk to Chandler about his parents being missing?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about those conversations.
Well, day one when he told us, because he had told me and my friend that he's friends with that I visited when I was down in Texas, he told us that they had been missing. So we both suggested to him that, hey, if this is really a big concern for you, you might want to contact law enforcement immediately.
What did Chandler say to that?
He said, well, they might turn up, so I'll just wait a few days, and so it goes.
After that conversation, do you recall having any other conversations with Chandler about his parents being missing?
Just talking about how or where they could have end up it, or what was going on with the situation.
Was Chandler expressing worry to you or that he was concerned?
He seemed concerned, yes.
At some point, sure, and obviously now you're aware that Chandler was arrested for what happened.
Yes, sir.
You began having to have some conversations with law enforcement because a gun that was found very close to Bart Halderson, Chandler's father, was that gun that we just showed you. And so law enforcement started talking to you, right?
Yes, sir. Well, I had reached out to them immediately upon figuring out that he had been arrested.
You've been cooperative with law enforcement the whole time, haven't you?
I'm not going to be a broken piece of glass, sir.
Meaning you'll help if you need to.
Yes.
The police, in fact, visited you.
I'm not going to be a broken piece of glass, sir. Another great piece of, I mean, that's worthy of Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. I'm not going to be a broken piece of glass, sir. Let's unpack that and try and understand the poetry of that sentence. A broken piece of glass. So what can we infer from that? It's broken. It's fragile. It's damaged. It's vulnerable. But it's also sharp, jagged, dangerous, vicious, unforgiving, hazardous material. So in his vulnerability and his fragility, he is dangerous. Or he's saying he's not these things. He's not going to be a broken piece of glass. You see, that's the beauty of it. Just as you start to unpack it and understand it, you realize that he's saying it in the negative form, as in, the opposite to affirmative. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's deep. I'm not going to be a broken piece of glass, sir. That's the kind of thing that you say, and you expect the other person to know what you mean. And Attorney Brown, I didn't think, wanted to question, because he was like, oh, that's quite good. We're going to roll with that for the jury. But he didn't have a fucking clue what that meant. Neither did anyone else. They weren't even sure they heard it. He might as well have said, I'm not going to be a purple monkey in a top hat. I'm not going to be a purple monkey in a top hat, sir. Holding a basket of eggs. I'm not going to be a purple monkey in a top hat holding a basket of eggs.
You down in where you live at some point.
Yes, sir.
You, when asked, have given them access to things like bank records or your phone and things of that sort.
Yes, sir.
And you've provided photographs whenever you could.
Yes, sir.
Why was that important?
Sorry, guys. Before we move on, I just want to capture that moment again, so we can all live with that and just have it live with us for at least a day or two. I want you to all think about that statement when you're at work tomorrow on Sunday. I'll be at work, believe me, 8 days a week.
Sure.
Meaning you'll help if you need to.
Yes.
Okay.
Broken piece of glass, sir.
You've been cooperative with law enforcement the whole time, haven't you?
I'm not going to be a broken piece of glass, sir.
Meaning you'll help if you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, that's something that the president should say, right? I mean, that's just. I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling right now, but inspired, I suppose.
You need to.
Yes.
The police, in fact, visited you down in where you live at some point.
Yes, sir.
You, when asked, had given them access to things like bank records or your phone and things of that sort.
Yes, sir.
And you provided photographs whenever you could.
Yes, sir.
Why was that important to you to assist?
Well, to put it bluntly, sir, I served in the Army, and I'm not going to get fucked for something that I didn't do.
Where were you?
What the hell was that? To put it bluntly, I served in the army, and I'm not going to get fucked for something I didn't do. What was asked? That is like some attitude on this guy now.
You, when asked, had given them access to things like bank records or your phone and things of that sort.
Yes, sir.
And you provided photographs whenever you could.
Yes, sir.
Why was that important to you to assist?
Well, to put it bluntly, sir, I served in the Army, and I'm not going to get fucked for something that I didn't do.
Where were you?
Did he think he was asked something else? I mean, there's no continuity there. That was totally incongruent to the question.
July 1st, July 2nd, 2021.
Crystal Beach, Texas, sir.
In fact, what is Exhibit 566?
Looks like my bank statement, sir.
And where's that bank statement show that you are?
So if you follow this down, so you can see that I went and did some sort of purchase at a gas station at Texas at 7:02. Then,
Hey, Neaty, you are not a squirrel on a cupcake, but if you were, I bet you'd be a great one.
follow this down, 702 Lufkin, Texas, and then keep following it down. You can see 702 Crystal Beach, Texas. Keep following it down. You can see Lufkin again, sir, and then Crystal Beach, sir. And then more purchases at Crystal Beach, Texas, sir. And then a few interspersed things that my wife had been purchasing at Dollar Tree, apparently.
And where was she at?
She was in Manhattan still, sir, or Junction City, sir.
Junction City. And in all of these purchases, and this is a bank statement from the 1st, looks like through the 10th, there's not a single one from Wisconsin, correct?
No, sir.
Nothing from Illinois? No?
No, sir.
Iowa?
No, sir.
Minnesota?
Unless I have the power of God to teleport, sir, I don't think that's going to occur.
Understood. I'll move 5 to 6.
The power of God to teleport. Okay. I mean, usually teleportation is, in science fiction is like a man-made thing. I mean, that doesn't have an association with God. There's no teleportation in the Bible, is there? And then Peter teleported to maybe, okay. The power of God to teleport. Is it just a case of this guy plays like fantasy games and is just really confused? He seems to have this strange view of what sounds like it makes sense, because not a lot of what he says does.
66 in evidence.
Any
No
objection?
objection.
It's received.
I don't think it needs to be published. Your bank statements can just be right there.
Has information been redacted?
They have been redacted if ultimately.
All you can
anyone-
see is how broke I am.
That's fine. And in fact, at times, you're aware that the police verified your location in other ways, phone records and things of that.
I'm sure they did, sir.
You were never in Wisconsin in July of 2021.
No, sir.
One second. Thank you, sir.
Cross-examination?
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Good
Okay.
afternoon, ma'am.
Check this out. This is one of the only cross-examinations from Chandler's defense team for the whole trial. They barely touched a single witness, but they touched Mr. Smith. What are they going to touch him with?
I'd like to first ask you a few questions about that SKS that you purchased. Is it correct that you purchased that initially for yourself?
Yes, sir. Or ma'am, sorry.
is it fair to say you're interested in guns?
In firearms, yes, ma'am.
And
You said
not just guns, lady. Okay, let's get one thing straight. I am former military, and I'm interested in firearms. Okay, we're talking bazookas, RPGs, anything that that shoots. Anything that you can shoot, I like. We call them firearms. Sometimes when I'm not near enough to a weapon, I have to set my arms on fire. You know, I dip both my arms into gasoline from the fingertip to the shoulder, and I start rubbing my palms together really fast until a spark. And then I wave my arms around on fire, and people say to me, "Hey, Smith, what are you doing, Smith?" You say, "I'm with my fire. I'm playing with my firearms." Oh my God. Firearms, ma'am. I like firearms. Okay, not just guns, firearms.
you went and fired that SKS maybe 20 times.
I had shot it once and put 20 rounds to the rifle itself through my hands, ma'am.
After that, you decided it wasn't that appealing to you.
No, ma'am. Just too much of kick, too much of anything that didn't make me happy about the weapon.
What do you mean by too much kick?
So each caliber of weapon or bullet will fire X amount of powder through it. So for example, the SKS, which shoots 7.62 by 39 NATO, or whatever it is in Russia, it shoots a bigger.
This is good. We've got a military man telling us about the kick of weapons. You all ready? You all got your pen and paper at the ready? Take notes.
Will fire X amount of powder through it. So for example, the SKS, which shoots 7.62 by 39 NATO, or whatever it is in Russia, it shoots a bigger payload of powder versus 5.56/223, which shoots up to 27 grains of powder. So it's not as much kick, but you can still put enough firepower down range.
Why does the kick make it unappealing to you?
Because if I had to defend my family from a home intruder, I think 5.56 is going to be a lot easier and a lot faster for me to react with than a 7.62 by 39 round.
Compared to other guns,
Just a little thing here, okay? Now, I know that things are different in America, but how often does this happen? I mean, really, you know, you think people are coming to murder your family? Doesn't that sound a little bit paranoid? Okay, a burglar, sure, it happens. But most of the time, someone who breaks into your house is just looking for your TV. And then they're gonna go, you know? I mean, is that the end of the world? And I get it, if you let one in and you're a soft touch, but do you really want to murder someone who's trying to steal your TV? I mean, that's a TV can come and go in life, right? I'd be like, take the TV. Even if I was holding a gun, I'd be like, take it, have the TV. You like the TV, it's yours. But to blow their head off, I mean, that would bother me for the rest of my life, And I can understand that it might not bother some people, but, it's good not to be bothered.
or firearms that you've used, the SKS is somewhat louder than similar type firearms, correct?
Not necessarily. It depends. It really depends on a lot of things along where the location is. If you're in let's say you're shooting it in here, it's going to be loud as hell because there's all the encasing around you. If you're outside, it's going to be not as loud, but it's still going to be pretty loud.
Louder than a handgun.
Not necessarily.
Under similar circumstances, louder than a handgun.
Possibly. Yes.
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention, get more followers, and
That's the other thing we're going to do, guys, is YouTube Premium to get rid of all these stupid Portuguese ads. You know, yes, we got to get the money rolling in, guys. We got to be rolling in the Benjamins so we can fork out all this good hard-earned cash on production values.
Now you're
Like,
familiar
share, leave
with
a
your
comment.
familiarity with firearms. You're familiar with the terms of flash suppressor or flash hider?
Yes, ma'am.
And what are those?
So a flash hider, depending on what you have, it can make either the ball flame that comes out of it a lot bigger. It can make it so when you're shooting or at a prone position, when you're firing, the weapon gets pulled forward versus sending the recoil back, so it's not as much. And it really depends on what you're talking about specifically. You can't just throw a flash hider in with one of the other things because they all do different things.
Potentially, they could also reduce the sound.
Not necessarily unless you have a suppressor.
So a flash suppressor can reduce the sound.
A flash suppressor, if you can go out and buy a suppressor with a tax stamp, yes.
So could any kind of silencer.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't provide any of those with this SKS when you
No, ma'am,
gifted it to
but with
Mr.
the
Halderson?
SKS's barrel at the end of it, regardless, it's kind of an act of God almost to put a suppressor on. So there's barrel threading, which was not on this SKS at the end of it. There might be a special attachment you can get and purchase and put onto this firearm, but unless you have certain special attachments, it might not necessarily fit in correctly or seed correctly, which can cause problems itself and cause an obstruction.
Bottom line, though, this SKS that you gifted Mr. Halderson didn't have any of that.
No, ma'am. It's the standard end of an AK-74, essentially.
Now, when you gifted this SKS to Mr. Halderson, you talked about this procedure you use with taking a photo of someone's driver's license with the serial number from the firearm. Do you
Yes,
remember
ma'am.
that? That's not something you only have done with Mr. Halderson. It's something you've done anytime you've sold, transferred, or gifted firearms, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've done that several times?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
Depends on a lot of things. If I have, so I can have an AR-15 that I'll buy and I'll build it and then it'll sit in my safe for whatever reason for a long time. And then I can go like, oh, okay, well, go and sell it. But as for how many I've sold, that's none of your business, frankly.
Okay.
Wow. As for how many guns I've sold, that's none of your business, frankly. Well, I mean,
That's really all I have. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No.
May this witness be excused and released.
He is both, yes.
Thank you, sir. Have a good
Yes.
rest of your day.
Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. And the next witness, please.
Stay close, please. I'll turn this in.
wow. Quite a short one tonight, guys. What's the consensus? Shall we have a look at the next witness, or do we want to watch Attorney Brown's rebuttal argument? It's only 17 minutes long. We're racing the battery dying again. What have we got? 11%. Yeah, we could probably squeeze in Attorney Brown's rebuttal. How about that, guys?
Forms and surveys like this get responses like that. But with
Forms you're going to fill out.
Thank you, Attorney Vera. As counsel indicated, the state carrying the burden of proof has the opportunity for a rebuttal. In other words, the last word. And I believe Attorney Brown will provide that to you at this time.
Thank you. It's a lot of talking.
Okay, so just to catch you guys up on what's going on here. Angela Raymond, the co-counsel for the prosecution, gave the closing argument for the prosecution against Chandler Halderson. She did a fantastic job, not quite as Class A as Attorney Brown's opening statement, but close. And, you know, she just kind of, I mean, I think William Brown's opening statement was faultless. And not just faultless, but, you know, a masterclass in how to storytell a message in a way that's absolutely, you know, that someone understands, not because he was talking a little bit like he would do to a 3-year-old. That's all part of storytelling. Who do you tell stories to? Young kids. Why? Because it gets them involved. It makes them know how to perceive. And, you know, it's a great art that's happened in our species for what? Tens and tens of thousands of years. 50,000 years or something, at least. That's verifiable. So Angela Raymond did the closing argument, which was very, very good. And like William Brown's opening statement, she just laid out point, all the facts of the case. And then Attorney Vera got up and did the closing argument for the defense, which essentially said, if the murder wasn't captured on video, and you haven't seen the video of the murder that doesn't exist, you don't know what happened. And if you don't know what happened, you have reasonable doubt. That was all they could do. That was essentially the entire defense case. They did nothing the whole trial. And then at the end said, well, it wasn't on video, so how can you say for certain you knew what happened? You know, it was ridiculous. I think Darrell Brooks did a better job in his friggin' Waukesha Parade trial. You know, but now Attorney Brown is going to get up and close the box on this little back and forth between the prosecution and defense. And he holds no punches here, guys. It's gloves are off, and he's wrapped pieces of broken glass around his knuckles. So when he punches you, he cuts up your face. It's just check it out. Look, he's doing up his button like he's ready for war.
Defense closing and opening about things they learned in law school or going to law school. And I think in the opening, I heard at one point, being on a jury is different than being a person. I don't know if any of that's true, but I'm done with law school and I do this for a living. I operate in a world.
See what he did there? I mean, this is getting personal now. He's saying, yeah, we heard a lot from the defense counsel about things they learned in law school and that being a jury is different than being a person. So essentially, the defense counsel said that you are not people. You're less than people. You've got jury members down here and then people, and you're less than people. That's what they said. They told you you're less. You're not. You don't matter. And in law school, and he's like, yeah, I'm done with law school. I do this for a living. I'm not learning. I'm a pro. And you're ready for this pro because they're amateurs and I'm a pro.
Role of common sense and not fanciful thoughts of just this guy finding his dead parents and deciding, no big deal, let's just cut them apart and hide them around the state. But who knows how they died? I live in that world. That's the world you should live into, because being a juror is no different than being a person, unlike maybe what you were told earlier. You're told by the judge, although they figured out a way to say it in about 2 paragraphs.
Like what you were told earlier by those amateurs over there, oldie and fatty.
You use your common sense and experience in the roles of everyday life or something along those lines. A bunch of lawyers got together and thought about it for 2 weeks and figured out a way to say, use your common sense. Miss Vera just stood up here and said, what if this was an awful accident? Bart Halderson was shot in the back twice. You do not fall down and shoot yourself in the back twice. Bart Halderson and Krista Halderson had their heads chopped off, had their arms and legs removed. That was an awful accident. Think of for a second. You heard about the bones. You saw those marks on the bones, those attempts. Some of them 3, some of them 10, some of them 5.
Just look at Chandler there. I mean, what is he thinking? What is he thinking as he sat there listening to this with this little friggin' COVID mask on? Is he thinking, man, this is weird, and I wonder where the hidden item is in Tarkov? Where did the messenger take the hidden item in the game?
5 false starts is what the anthropologists call them. That is someone on their hands and knees, Chandler apparently, which was just saying, I guess we're admitting to that now. They lied and chopped him up and hit him around the state. On his hands and knees, some of them from the front to back, meaning probably could see the face of his mom and his dad as that saw moved back and forth, back and forth. And you just saw the bones, but what's before the bones? The skin, the blood, the muscle, the fat, the smell that they had to produce, the blood.
Man, this jury never gonna be able to cut wood again, man. Every time they cut wood, use a saw, they're just gonna be thinking, oh my God, there's Bart's head. There's Krista's head.
Parents. An awful accident. We heard, I go days without Googling things. I don't, maybe you do. But I bet you don't Google dismembered body found in Wisconsin when you're crying on the local news about your missing parents. I bet you don't Google woman's dismembered body found. I bet you don't do legal research about some other guy who chopped up his family members and threw them in a river. Bet you don't do that. This process is common sense. Ms. Vera talked a lot about the lies. Chandler is a liar, and it seems like we all agree on that now. Lots of people lie. I can agree with Ms. Vera on that. The question in this case isn't who would do this? And maybe that's something that's gone through your mind here. Who would do this? Who would go through all this? Who would make up all these lies? Who would take it this far? All these fake people, the burner phone, the nonsense, the calls to his dad, the emails back and forth, the friends and family, the move to Florida. Who would do this? And you're going to leave this room. 6 of you are going to go home. 12 of you are going to go into a room and talk to each other. And you're never going to have an answer to that question. Because who would do this in the common sense meaning of it? Nobody does something like this. But that's not the role of a jury. You're answering a different question, which is who did this, not who would do this. Because for the life of you, I bet before you got that notice in the mail a couple months ago saying you had to come here, you would say nobody. You would have said nobody. Nobody would shoot their dad in the back twice, kill their mom, lay him on the ground in front of their family fireplace, take scissors and pruning shears, take a hacksaw, take a keyhole saw, and saw off their heads, arms, legs, burn them in the fireplace, over 100 fragments of human bone found in that fireplace, you'd say no one would do this. But you got your jury summons, and you ended up here, and you found out that someone did do it. Chandler Halderson did it. So those lies are important. Because you at some level have to grasp how this man got to that point. As I said in the opening statement, the murders were just a small piece of the puzzle. None of the things that happened before, none of the things that happened after make any sense. You got to have the murders to understand why he did that bizarre story for 7 days of his parents going missing with the unknown couple. And you can understand the murders if you understand what happened before with his bizarre actions of building up this life that wasn't real. Why were those lies important? They were important because that's all he had. We're here because of the deaths of Bart and Krista Halderson, and they are dead. There's no doubt about that. You have most decidedly concluded that at this point. You have seen their bodies. But on some level, whoever Chandler Halderson was died years ago as well. And what was left was this shell of a person who made this nonsense up, who built himself up to be a tech employee, rescue scuba diving guy, who was going to college. It was all he had.
And the stuff about being a rescue scuba diver, I mean, why, ultimately his goal was to not get a job and to live at home and eat out of his parents' fridge and borrow money off his girlfriend and play video games. But he had to take it a step further and create this noble lie of, rescue scuba diver. You need me to go into the dangerous currents of the Wisconsin River to save a drowning baby? Call my number.
It was all he had. And that started to unravel. Maybe his parents suspected it. But you listened to Bart Halderson on that call just about a day before he was killed. That sound like someone to you who knew his son had been lying to him? Those text messages. I spoke to Omar Joe. I'm ready whenever you are. He didn't know what was going on until that moment. So when Bart Halderson finds out that this is a lie, to Chandler, whoever Chandler Halderson is, the whole world crumbles. Because if you weren't going to school, they sure weren't going to hire you at American Family Insurance. That couldn't have been real. There's no way you got a job at SpaceX. What else are you lying about? Where are you going all the time when you say you're training for this scuba diving team? Everything about him falls apart. He doesn't have any money. Remember when he texted his girlfriend he was going to the police? Hey, can I have $5 for a sandwich? He can't just leave. He can't move out. He can't get in the car and head west. He probably couldn't make it out of the state with the amount of money he had because he never had a job. He had two options. Own up to his lies, stand up, and finally tell the truth for once. Or like a coward, shoot your father in the back. And that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Miss Vera says, wow, we just got a showcase. Yeah, we got a bullet fragment. Just happens to have Bart Halderson's DNA on it. When you looked at it, just happens to appear to have blood all over it. And then text my mom. Hey, pick up soda for me. Dad's phone's dead. She gets home. Whose blood spatters on the safe right there by the bullet fragment? Those little red dots, human blood. It's Krista Halderson. We don't know what happened. We know exactly what happened. Murders are not captured on video. That's not how this happens. That's how this works. Sure, in the grand scheme of things, there are some people who are stupid enough to walk up to a gas station, stand in front of the security camera, and shoot somebody. But that's not real life. That's not common sense. Chandler Halderson did this in the basement of his house. The blood is everywhere. The bullet's there. You heard from Mr. Alibi who testified he only found one, and the one he found was kind of rolled behind under that bench. He tried to clean up. Peroxide everywhere. He's having people bring him peroxide. blood all over that fireplace stoop, bone fragments in the ash trap. You know exactly what happened. You don't need a video. The lies are important because it's all Chandler Halderson had. And when they were exposed, he started coming up with this plan. And yeah, after the Omar Job text comes in on the 29th, he's having a conversation with his girlfriend. You heard, it's fair. Actually read it, and that's fair. The day before, hey, are we going to the cabin? What's going on? They're talking about the cabin. He's starting to dabble with the idea of what he's doing. But then I think it was at 1:04 p.m., just about an hour and a half, 2 hours before he did it, he says they're going to the cabin this weekend. He made his final decision. Because at that moment, Chandler Halderson knew there was no way out. He couldn't get in the car and drive away. He couldn't make up another lie. He couldn't make up another email. He couldn't buy another burner phone. It was done. Everyone was going to see him for what he was. Just some liar. Some guy without a job, not going to school, who'd been lying to everyone for years.
Isn't it interesting how Chandler can just shut himself off from this experienced, intelligent, articulate, professional man ripping his character to pieces in front of a crowd, and he doesn't really blink, doesn't react at all. I mean, that is detachment. You know, he's not in this world. Tony Brown said it. He told us who Chandler Halderson was died years ago. And I think that's completely true. I was reading some of the jailhouse texts between him and Kat while he was awaiting trial. It is repugnant how he speaks with her. It's horrible. And that he does all these tricks. He's just a sneaky snake.
And he couldn't handle that. So he committed the ultimate act of betrayal against your parents. Perhaps against any human being, but especially your parents, the person who held you when you were a baby and cleaned up your cuts on your knee when you were learning to ride a bike, comforted you when you were crying. The ultimate act of betrayal. He shot his parents. And then he cut them up and he hid them. But the lies didn't even stop there. It was a new lie. No, that's the cabin. Now he's on the news. Now he's giving interviews. Given 2-3 more days, don't think for a second there wouldn't have been 2-3 more fake emails. Text messages from my mom. A whole new world, a whole new reality for Chandler that he got to live in. His checklist was right there. Finally, he was going to get a job. Obviously, mom and dad couldn't support him anymore. Maybe he was going to get some life insurance. Maybe he knew, maybe he didn't. But he certainly got to continue on his fake life. He got to keep his girlfriend. People continued to respect him. His friends probably continued to think that he was successful, important. The lies were rinsed and repeated, rinsed and repeated. And I promise I'm about done, and I'm the last person who talks. The judge is going to talk a little bit more. What he's going to say next is hard to hear in that he has to read off the verdict forms you're going to take back to the jury room with you. Verdict forms are the physical documents for each charge. There's a bunch of charges here.
That sounds interesting, Neverly. Send us a copy. We should set up a P.O. box. Or where do I get that book? On Amazon? Boys Adrift. I'm writing it down.
For each one, there's one that says guilty and not guilty, guilty and not guilty, guilty and not guilty. And he actually read them all. And it doesn't make a lot of sense, but he has to do it. But what Ms. Vera is asking you to do is to lie. It is the last lie of Chandler Halderson. His lawyers stood up here and told you to lie for him. Not to do what you swore to do, which is to render a just and true verdict based on the evidence, to reconcile the evidence, if you can find any reasonable hypothesis consistent with the defendant's innocence, a reasonable hypothesis. That reasonable hypothesis that was just offered to you is that it was an accident. That's how they died. And then Chandler made what his attorney believes to be the reasonable decision to chop apart those bodies and hide them around the state. What you're being asked to do is to lie one last time. It is the experience that everyone in Chandler Halderson's life has had to deal with, and now it's yours. His girlfriend dealt with it. Sure, Bart and Krista dealt with it. Finding out maybe on the last day of their lives. Mitchell is dealing with it. Brett is dealing with it. Their family friends. The Hilgendorfs. Their kids. Haley and Hannah. They've had to deal with it.
Haley and Hannah
Mary-
Hilgendorf, they're great on the stand. They're twins. I mean, they should have been on the stand together as twins, but they go one at a time, and they're both quite different, but the same. They seem like a lot of fun.
Sesto had to deal with it. Kevin Linsmeyer, the neighbor, had to deal with it. Then to the police. Deputy Seeley, Deputy Nelson, Deputy Shum, Deputy Sims, Deputy Hendrickson, Deputy Collins LaFleur. Everyone who has interacted with this man for years has had no other experience other than being lied to. And now it's you that's going to be lied to by his attorneys. Asking
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna object now.
I'm sorry, Mark.
Oh, that was an objection.
Thanks for your patience, folks. I want to clarify that, of course, within the instructions, as far as closing argument not being evidence, closing argument being opinions expressed by counsel for both the state and the defense to you about their view of the evidence and so forth. My understanding is the state was not meaning to suggest that counsel for the defense had lied or in any way was urging you to do anything other than uphold your oath and to follow the law as instructed in your deliberations. If you could continue.
Thank you. Those verdict forms you're going to fill out, every single one of them represents something that happened. And what we're asking you to do is to dig through that evidence, dig through your notes, dig through your memory of what happened. What happened here wasn't an accident. What happened here wasn't a mistake. What happened here wasn't innocent lies, coincidences. Mr. Halderson's statement to the police that my mom has nosebleeds and my dad, he just scratches his psoriasis. It doesn't explain his blood on a bullet fragment. It doesn't explain all of their blood on the fireplace. It doesn't explain the Halderson's teeth in the ash trap. It doesn't explain their skull in the ash trap and placed on top of the fireplace. What I'm asking you to do is to look for the truth and not to negotiate. Not take the idea that, well, there's one piece of paper there where he signed a document and says he lied to the cops, and maybe that's good enough. These people were killed. This is a first-degree intentional homicide. This is a first-degree intentional homicide. You cannot shoot someone in the back. You cannot chop them up. You cannot scatter their remains and come to any other conclusion. And there is only one person who did those things here, and that is Chandler Halderson. We're asking you to find him guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
Yeah, so it really didn't take long for the jury to deliberate. I think they literally just went back to the deliberation room and You know that thing that they do where they say, "Okay, let's just have a show of hands around the room to see where everyone is at right now. How many for not guilty? Okay, no, keep them up so I can count." You know, they just literally went back, filled out the forms, did whatever admin they had to do, and came back in. I think it was. Oh, it was. I can't remember the time. 45 minutes. No, I think it was 2 hours or something, but it was, there's a lot of paperwork to do. It's a life sentence. There's no death penalty in Wisconsin, but it certainly would have been a death penalty case if it were a death penalty state. And here's an interesting thing. His grandmother, I can't remember if it would have been the mother of Bart, I think, because the Krista's parents were dead, I believe, already. The mother of Bart wrote to the judge and said, "Listen, Judge, Chandler did a really bad thing, but if Bart and Krista were here today, I don't think that they would want Chandler to spend life in prison. So please give him a chance of parole, and it is my hope that while he's in prison, he can learn a trade or a craft and have a second shot at life." And it's like, wow, is that what Bart and Krista would have said? Well, maybe, I suppose. They were great parents. They would have said, "Yeah, you killed us, but, if you do 30 to 50 years, that'll probably be enough." Pretty nuts. Pretty crazy. He didn't get any chance of parole. Judge Hyland said that he couldn't uphold his oath to the community to protect that community if he let Chandler Halderson have a chance of being released back into that community. Thanks so much, Needy. Yeah, my dog only eats when the stream is on, so she's all fed and watered now. Anyway, guys, where are we at with everything? We are coming on to Grant Armato soon. Should I do an introduction? Does everyone know the case? Neverly, do you know the Grant Armato case? Anyone else still here? We've got 10 folks in the stream, but all I see is Neverly Darling. She's such a prolific commenter. Well done, Neverly. One of our top tier fans. Yeah, or should we go back to the Adelson case? Our live viewers have taken a bit of a hit since we switched away from the Adelson case. I think we might need to go back and do a really hot topic Adelson just to feed my ego again. We had like almost 100 people on at one time. Okay, well, I'm not going to start telling you about Grant Armato now, Neverly, but so maybe I'll start thinking about how we can do a bit of an introduction to the story. Maybe we'll spend the first half looking at some pictures and going through the backstory of what Grant did and why. But it's quite similar to the Chandler Halderson case in that it's a story of obsession, deception, parenticide, and what's to kill a sibling. It's matricide for your mother. Yeah, I think it's parenticide, isn't it, to kill your parents? Oh, had an equally ridiculous shit story to get out of it. Maybe even worse than Chandler's, if that's possible. But yeah, it shares, and they're both gamers as well, you know. It shares some things with the Chandler Halderson case. So, and it's a yeah. Well, maybe we'll spend the first half of the video doing an introduction, and then move into the first chapter of the interrogation commentary, because it's a great one of the really great interrogations, and I think that's my favorite thing to look at, is the interrogation of a guilty criminal. I'm sure you'll all agree. Fratricide. Maybe. So a sister would be what do you call it? Soroticide. So what is it? A fraternity and a what is it? Sorority. Sororicide. I don't know. Something like that. Who else is in the chat? Have we still got Udi in the chat? Hey, Udi, what was being a moderator like? I didn't see you moderating. What does it let you do? I have no idea. I thought you could put these comments on the screen, because I have to do all that, you know. And sometimes I don't see the latest comments because people yell at me. They say, "Oh, you're going through the comments and putting them on the screen too quickly." Anyway, everyone's still online. Ways that you can support the channel. We got super chats, we got memberships, we got buymeacoffee.com, we got Patreon, you can like the video, share the video, tell a friend about the video. You know, we got merchandise ready to drop. It's all being designed at the moment in my mind, but I'm going to find the time to sit down and put those ideas to print, and then put that print onto some shirts, mugs. We got actually really good designs, man. I mean, you know, a large part of what I do is design, so that's good, isn't it? Handy. Comes in handy for the merch. No, I think they're going to sell really well. I think people are going to love them, want them, and buy multiple. And then we're going to build up a little bit of a business budget so we can reinvest in our lights, camera, and microphone. And we really want to get this production. We got a whole little family building here, guys. So yeah, any support to the channel, monetary or otherwise, is much welcome, most welcome. Yeah, buymeacoffee.com. You can buy us cups of coffee on there. Patreon, early access to videos. Well, you know, all our videos are live at the moment, so that doesn't really make any sense. But you can support us through that if that's your chosen way. But it's also really supportive for all of us here at True Crime Metrix if you like the video, if you share the video, and just, you know, keep watching more content. We've got a whole library building up, guys. There's, you know, on the statistics the other day, I worked out how long the total amount of watch hours that we've had, which is all the minutes that have people watched. It added up that if you just did one video playing for that long, it would be playing for 3 years. 3 years. That's how many minutes people have watched the content, which is fantastic. You know, I never thought we'd be speaking to so many people who'd be listening so much. And it's really happened over a short time. So we can't thank you all enough for that at True Crime Metrix. We will probably be back on tomorrow. Maybe we'll be looking at Grant Amato. Maybe we'll stick with Chandler Halderson. Maybe we'll go back to the Adelson case. Maybe we'll put a poll up to ask the viewers, the subscribers, where we should go next. What do people want to see? And please don't say Laurie Daybell, because I just can't look at that woman. And Murdoch as well. Can't look at him. Hates his hair. you know. But we do have a long list of some of our own resident favorite crimes and favorite interrogations to cover. So make sure you're all subscribed to the channel and like the video, share the video, and everything else. Yeah, we don't really get many trolls, I don't think, Neverly. Everyone who speaks to us is really pretty positive and supportive and kind, and it's really great, you know. And we get a lot of comments, not just on the live stream, but, you know, after in whatever playback stream. A lot of people comment on those as well, so keep the comments rolling in. And hey, if you check the live, that's okay, because you know what, you can still support the channel on buymeacoffee.com, super chat, whatever, memberships. Check out the memberships. We got some really great memberships, guys. I think there's 3 tiers. And 544 Camp Street, if you're listening, we're coming over to your channel soon, guy, to do a collab, and then we'll invite you over here and we can talk about some other stuff. I come on your show, you come on my show. It's going to be great. Promote conversation. Exactly. That's what we try to do. Oh yeah, Neverly, I've got to do something about the Discord. I'll have to go back and read what Udi said about the Discord server, because apparently I've got to do something to make that work for everyone. But that's okay. I'll get right on that. I'll probably do that tonight before I go to sleep. Wow, it's 20 past 1 in the morning, guys. And although it's Sunday tomorrow, I'm working hard. Working all day. Well, a bit of a late start. We start at 8 tomorrow. 8 o'clock in the morning. So I should still get 5 hours sleep. That's okay. Okay, guys, if there's nothing else, we're going to shut it down for the night. Oh, yeah, we'll get there, Neverly, with your help. And thank you, everybody, for the so kind super chats. Yeah, it's really touching. It means a lot. And we're very glad you're all enjoying the show. And yeah, we'll put a poll out maybe tomorrow morning about some ideas where people can say what they'd most like to see next. Okay, all for now. Let's go. Good night to you, everyone. Love you all. Oh, how do you send us a DM? I don't know, Neverly. On WhatsApp? How do I put my number? Then it'll just be online. And private chat, is that a thing? I guess Instagram. I think we're on Instagram. Neverly. True Crime Metrics. Maybe True Crime Metrics _official, or maybe just True Crime Metrics, but it will have our logo. Yeah, I think we're on Instagram. Let me check real quick. We need to get more active on the other social networks. We're on Facebook as well, Neverly. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to put my phone number on the YouTube comments. You never know who's watching. Yeah, the Instagram is truecrimemetrics_official, and there's no profile picture, but it's truecrimemetrics_official. And the Facebook is let me see. The Facebook is just called True Crime Metrics. And that's a page, but I think you can message us on there or Instagram. We're also on Twitter, but we haven't really got into using the other social networks yet. And yeah, I'll get to the Discord thing. Oh, let's see if I can do the Discord thing now. What did Udi say? So I log in. Okay, so Udi says, "Hey mate, here are the instructions for the go to Discord, select invite people, then copy the invite link, post the link in the chat or in the description of the video." Okay. Invite people. Let's have a look. Where is that? Right. I'm sharing the Discord. Can anyone see invite people? Jeez, I don't know where it is, you know. Oh, invite friends. Copy the link. Here we go. So we put that in the chat. So that should be the link. Oh, here you go. Look at that. Oh, we're connected. Queen of the Gifts sends us a GIF. And we say, "Hey, darling." Something's making a noise. Oh, cool. Oh, look, we're all on here now. Sweet. Okay. Hey, Rabbit. You are so late. Who are you? You could have been a moderator tonight, Rabbit, whatever that means. But we've got a Discord, Rabbit. There's the link. Can you see the link? You can join us on Discord. We've got an after hours lock-in all night long. Okay, I think I'm going to end the stream, guys. Take it easy, everybody. Be kind to each other, love each other, and be gentle. And speak to spiders. Ask them questions. They might know the answers. Wow, we've got people still joining the stream. Okay, that's it. Bye.